Hi, I'm Kris from Theme Park to Table, cooking up theme park recipes here in my kitchen. Today we are going to continue our adventure through Delish Loves Disney. With our last recipe, we actually finished up the Magic Kingdom section and we're heading into Epcot. Today's recipe is actually from the Coral Reef restaurant. We are doing a mahi-mahi with an avocado crema. This recipe does have 5 different components to it that all have to come together. You will notice I have some note cards around because my memory is not that good. And if you're cooking along, feel free to hit the pause button until you catch up. This is probably going to go kind of quick, so here we go. We're going to start right off back here by getting the coconut rice started. This is going to be the single longest part of the procedure. So into our pan, we're going to add water, coconut milk, and just a pinch of salt. We're going to get this turned on to high, and we're going to wait for that to come up to a simmer. Just grab a spoon so it's ready to go when it simmers. Now I'm going to take you back over this way and we'll go to the next step of this. Up next is the avocado crema. So into our blender, we are going to put avocado, some salt, some lime juice, some cilantro, and some sour cream. Okay, what I have in here is just a little bit of water. This is going to be used to kind of thin it out as it mixes, which I will just kind of do with this open as we go. So let's get that on there. Let's turn this guy on and let's just start blending it a little bit. Okay. Definitely need to add a little bit of water to this. Okay, that's looking pretty well mixed. I am going to pop it off. I'm going to use the spoon to kind of scrape down the sides a little bit as I pour it back into the bowl. And then this is going to go into the refrigerator to wait for us to finish up everything else. Let's get our blades out. Tuck those in the back. And then I'm just going to kind of use the spoon that we used for the sour cream. I give it a little extra mix in here, and then I'm just going to spoon it into the bowl. I can definitely smell a lot of the avocado. I'm not getting a lot of the cilantro or the lime juice or anything else you put in here, but it definitely smells like fresh avocado, which personally I love, so I'm looking forward to trying this. Now the actual mahi-mahi that they serve in the Coral Reef, I have actually had one in the parks, and it's actually one of my favorite dishes from the Coral Reef. Although I always feel a little guilty eating fish with the fish swimming around me. But, so you put that there. Just gonna leave that out of the way for right now. And I'm gonna get my magic hands to put that in the fridge for me to keep that cold while we continue. I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. And we're going to move on to the next step. Next up is our mango shrimp salsa. So in this bowl, I have some mango. I'm going to grab this bigger bowl to mix everything in. I can hear the coconut water, so let me just check on that real quick. We are real close to a boil here. Just gonna give that a little stir to kind of combine everything together. I'm gonna give that just a second, and we're gonna get that rice started too. This is jasmine rice that I'm using, and we got a boil, so in it goes. Now this recipe to cook this rice does not indicate actually putting a lid on the rice. Every rice recipe I've ever done before, typically you bring it back to a boil, you give it a stir, and you put a cover on it. This one does not say to cover it, so I'm gonna leave it uncovered, and we're gonna see what happens. So we got the rice in there. We're gonna let it come back up to a little bit of a simmer. It should be just a couple seconds. And then we're gonna turn this down to a medium low. I'm gonna hit my timer for about 20 minutes, although we'll be checking in on it before then, and let that go. Okay, so back over here, back to our shrimp mango salsa. So I have some mango that's pre-diced. I'm gonna put that into the bowl, and into that I'm gonna add some diced tomatoes, these smell amazing. These are from my garden, and there's nothing like the smell of fresh garden tomatoes. Some red onion, see if we can get, okay, some salt, lime juice, more cilantro. I know that cilantro is a very polarizing herb, and I'm sure that you probably could skip that if you're one of the people who really doesn't like cilantro. And then I've got a jalapeno. This particular jalapeno I did take the seeds and ribs out of. We're actually growing these in our backyard in our garden, and they are really, really hot. And I have some members of my family who are not particularly fond of really, really hot heat. And then we have some shrimp. I bought the shrimp pre-cooked, which is what the recipe calls for, and it just calls for a rough chop, which is what I did to them. And we're just going to put these guys in, and we're going to combine all of this stuff together. This smells amazing. I'm sure it'll be delicious on the fish, but this I probably could just eat with a spoon, honestly. I could call this lunch. So let's finish getting that mixed up together. Want everything distributed. Once again, I'm going to pass this to my magic hands off camera. This is also going to go into the refrigerator to stay cold and chilled. That way all of our flavors can kind of meld together as it sits while we finish up the other steps. I'm just going to move some of the stuff over here. I'm taking everything that was all around me and putting it all in the sink now, so the mess is just kind of migrating. This is going, not much room in there right now, so we'll put that right there for now. Okay, so we've got the rice going, the crema done, the salsa done. Next up, we're gonna work on the Jamaican jerk glaze. So we're gonna have to come back over this way. And while we're over here, we're gonna give our rice a little peek. I'm actually gonna give that a little stir. It's starting to stick to the bottom a little bit. And I'm gonna increase my temperature just a little bit. I want just a little bit heavier of a simmer. So now for our glaze. For this, we are going to put together pineapple juice, sweet chili sauce, a little tap to get most of that out of there, and Jamaican jerk spice. We're going to turn this up over a medium high heat, and we're going to give this a stir. Now what we're waiting for with this is we're waiting for this to come to a simmer. When it comes to a simmer, we're going to whisk in some cornstarch and water slurry that are equal parts, and that's going to help thicken this. So what I'm going to do is, while we wait for this to come to a simmer, so you're not sitting here watching 2 pots boiling, we're going to take a little break. I'm going to keep stirring these and keeping an eye on them. And as soon as this comes back up and is ready for the slurry to go in, I'll be back with you. I'll see you guys real soon. Hi, and we're back. So while you were gone, our sauce has come up to a simmer. If you come over and just want to get a little closer look at that, it is starting to simmer. I have my equal parts cornstarch and water here that I'm just going to give a little mix to. Make sure it's all combined still. And then we're going to pour it in. We're going to whisk while pouring it in. We don't want any clumping to happen. And that is going to form a thick sauce pretty quick. So there's our Jamaican jerk sauce. This does have to just cook just for a few seconds just to cook off any flavor of the cornstarch. So you're going to want to keep that moving while you're cooking it because you don't want that to burn. So I'm going to actually pull that off. And I'm going to pop it over here so it's out of the way. And I'll leave the whisk right there so we can mix it before we serve it. And also, while you were gone, our rice finished. Cooked fine without a lid on. Now we're going to add a little bit more salt to it. Now that it's all cooked. And some toasted coconut. We're going to mix that right in. Oh, that smells so good. The coconut milk and the toasted coconut, you really get a whole nose full of coconut on this one. I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to pop a lid on this to help keep it warm. And then we are down to the final part of our adventure, the mahi-mahi. So we're going to take a pan. We're going to pop it on a medium-high heat. We're going to put some olive oil on the bottom of the pan. We want enough oil to kind of give a coating to the pan. We're not trying to deep fry the fish, but we do want enough there that it's going to cook the fish without it sticking. All I'm doing right now is just trying to get the oil to spread over the whole bottom. And we're going to let that oil get to the point where it's kind of hot and a little ripply before I put the fish in there. And while we're waiting, we're going to grab our mahi-mahi and we're just going to lightly put a little bit of salt on it and a little bit of pepper. Okay, I like pepper, so maybe a little bit more than a little pepper. And I'm just going to grab these, give them a quick flip over, rinse my hands, big surprise, and then salt and pepper the other side. Okay, so those are ready to go. Now we're just going to wait on our pan. I'm going to actually got some salt and pepper stuck to my hand, so I'm going to give a quick wash. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I wash my hands a lot. And recently, my husband got me kind of the coolest thing ever. He got me this Mickey Mouse soap dispenser that actually pumps a Mickey into your hand with foam soap. So, if possible, I think I'm actually washing my hands more now than I used to. I think I'm as bad as the kids. Okay, so I'm seeing some rippling happening here. So I think we are going to put this fish in there and start it cooking. Okay. This fish cooks fairly quick from what the recipe says. I will be perfectly honest with you. I have never cooked mahi-mahi before in my house. So, like all the recipes, this is a first for me. I'm not sure exactly what this is supposed to do when it's in the pan. The recipe says it'll get kind of on the first side a couple minutes. It's going to get kind of golden around the edges. And you're going to flip it over. It says gently. Hopefully I don't break the fillets into a million pieces. We'll see. No guarantees they're going to go in one piece. But we're just going to kind of keep an eye on this. And while we're waiting, we actually have a trip scheduled coming up to Disney and Universal, and we're very excited. We're going to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, and I can't wait to see the sights, go through the scare zones and the houses. But probably right up there for me is trying some of the food. I'm hoping to find some good stuff that we tried that I can come back here and try to recreate for you guys. even with or without a recipe, just kind of from what I taste and what I smell, see what we can do with kind of recreating a couple of those recipes. We're also going to be at Disney World at the same time, and I can't wait to try some of the recipes there that we've been cooking that I've never tried before, to see how close our recreation really is. I'm going to give this a quick. It is not releasing quite yet, so I'm going to give it a little bit more time before I try to flip it. I am getting a lot of splatter, so just if you're doing this, be aware that I've got a couple little oil burns on my arm, just as fair warning. So we'll be going to Disney, and I'm looking forward to eating some of the food there. I also have on order the 50th cookbook for Disney World, the 50th anniversary cookbook that I can't wait to try some recipes from. I'm not probably going to do all Disney all the time. I also have a really old Knott's Berry Farm cookbook that's got some recipes in it for their traditional fried chicken and such that I can't wait to try as well. So just some things that'll be coming in the future. This really is splattering a lot. And kind of sticking to the bottom of the pan, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if it's sticking because I'm trying to flip it too soon, or if it's sticking because the oil wasn't hot enough, or too hot, or I'm unsure. I don't have a lot of experience cooking fish. It's not something that all of my family enjoys a lot. So, yeah, that definitely stuck. We're going to get it, we're going to try to get it flipped over. And we're going to let that go for a couple more minutes. So while we're waiting for that, I don't know that that side was done. I'm not seeing kind of the golden color around the edges that they described in the recipe. So this might be one that I may have to practice cooking some mahi-mahi at some point and revisit this recipe. Hopefully it'll still taste good. My biggest concern is making sure that I get the fish cooked all the way through. I don't want to serve raw fish to my family. That would not be ideal. So let's just see how this is looking. Definitely sticking on a little bit. Oh, that one flipped okay this time. I think that piece looks like it might actually be just about done. It's looking a little flaky and white. When I did some research on mahi-mahi, I found that it's kind of similar to a swordfish or a tuna steak, which I have cooked before. So I think that we're looking pretty close to done. I'm actually going to turn off the heat on this. It does say that you should let the fish sit for a minute or two before you serve it. So I'm going to pull it to a side plate. And I'm going to put that to the side for a second. I'm going to take this off the heat. So hopefully that grease will stop splattering. I'm sure you can see the ring of oil all around where that pan was. I'm going to move some of the stuff on this way, and we're going to start getting ready to put this dish together. That was the timer we set for the rice, by the way, that just went off. The rice finished much ahead of what they said it was gonna. So we've got the fish. We're gonna get a plate. My magic hands are gonna pass me back the avocado crema and the salsa. We'll just try to arrange so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. There's that and that. So we're going to start with this one by putting the crema on the bottom of the plate. It's actually going to end up getting covered by the other ingredients. So there's your crema. And then on top of that, we're going to add a little bit of our coconut rice. I'm just going to give this a little stir because it has been sitting. So we're gonna put our coconut rice on top. Get that off the edge. And then we're gonna put a piece of the fish on. Let me grab a spatula. There's our mahi-mahi. And then on top of the mahi-mahi, we need our Jamaican jerk glaze. gonna grab that. Gonna give that a little stir. That's still warm. So just gonna kind of put this on. We're just gonna kind of spoon it over the fish. And then last but not least, we're going to top it with our mango shrimp salsa. Okay. And there it is. The Mahi-Mahi with avocado crema from the Coral Reef restaurant in Epcot. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.